Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. Oh God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
In a few minutes, we will have the opening speech by the convener, Temitope Aloba. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, distinguished guests, esteemed panelists, and all our wonderful attendees. My name is Temitope Aloba, the convener and the founder of HR with TA Professional Network, and it is my privilege to welcome you to this special webinar commemorating Nigeria's Independence Day as we celebrate 64 years of independence today. I'm actually very excited, and this particular celebration day today is reminding us not only of our nation's progress, but also of the challenges we continue to face, especially in light of the current economic uncertainties that affect all of us. Our theme for today's webinar, Navigating Economic Uncertainty, Building Resilient Workplace for Nigeria's Future, speaks to the heart of the issues we'll be discussing today. In times like this, with inflation, rising cost of living, and general financial instability, businesses are facing unprecedented hurdles. As HR professionals, business leaders, and organizational stakeholders, we are tasked not only to maintain operational stability, but also ensuring the resilience of our workplaces. This webinar aims to explore how HR can be at the forefront of building and sustaining resilient organizations that can navigate these economic challenges and contribute meaningfully to Nigeria's future. Our focus today is not just on understanding the challenges, but on identifying practical solutions to create robust and agile workplaces. We are incredibly fortunate to have a outstanding panel of experts to guide us through this discussion this evening, such as Dr. Silvanus Jato, a medical and wellness consultant at Stanbic IBTZ Holdings, who will be sharing insights on workplaces wellness strategies, emphasizing the need for employee health and well-being as a critical factor for resilience at this time. We also have Dr. Richard Eddy, the MD CEO of Team ACE Limited, who will be discussing leadership strategies in turbulent times and how businesses can remain agile and forward-thinking in the face of economic uncertainty. Dr. Layinka Jibuno, a psychologist and health policy expert at Freudian Center, Lagos, who will delve into psychological challenges employees faces during uncertain times and provide strategies for creating psychological safe workplaces. Then we have the new doctor in town, Dr. Dayo-Adedapo, head of human resources at Sterling Financial Holdings, who will speak on innovative HR practices that drive employee engagement and retention, even in financially constrained environments. I also have my very good friend Esther Ilueme, head of HR and admin at Extended Networks, who will address talent management and the role of HR in ensuring the organizations can continue to develop and retain talent in difficult times. Additional to all these great speakers and people that we have today, we are honored to have two special appearances. My friend, my former colleague, Precious Imunwahen Ajonu. She's a Director General at JOSPA and author of The Hero Inside, who will speak on resilience and leadership in challenging times. She will be emphasizing how leaders can inspire and motivate their team during uncertainty. And then last but not the least, it's someone I greatly respect, a senior colleague in Rotary, Ayotunde Olayinka, Managing Director at BU Power Limited, who will provide insight into overcoming infrastructural and energy challenges that impact business operations and how companies can remain productive despite these barriers. I would also like to extend my gratitude to Susan Gongul, the head of HR at Sotrox Limited, who will moderate today's event, ensuring seamless and engaging discussion alongside every other member of the team, Ayomide Badru, Ulukoga, Abib, Ogunleye, Wale, and all the members of the admin team at HR with TA community platform. I therefore encourage each of you to participate fully in this conversation, share your thoughts, ask questions, and let us collectively build strategies that will help us navigate through these challenging times while positioning ourselves to a brighter, more resilient future. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to having an insightful and impactful session with you all. And also, I would like to quickly acknowledge the presence of all my friends, all my senior colleagues, all my junior colleagues, all my students, all my mentees and my mentors, everyone who have, take our time to grace this occasion today on the basis of friendship that we have built over the years and we are still nurturing. I truly appreciate you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Susan.
Thank you very much, Temitope Aloba. I think you are very insightful and focused in the way that you run HR. This is one of the reasons why we're all here today. I'd like to again welcome all the guest speakers, special appearances today. It's really an honor to have you here. It's an honor for you to share your insights on the experience you've garnered over the years in HR. Thank you for being here. So when we're looking at navigating economic uncertainty, building resilient workplaces for Nigeria's future, a lot will come to mind. So I want to start with Dr. Richard Eddy. Thank you, sir. Welcome here. Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome. So my question to you will be, as a CEO, how have you navigated your company through recent economic challenges? And what key leadership qualities do you believe are essential during these times? As a CEO, how have you navigated your company through recent economic challenges? And what key leadership qualities do you believe are essential during these times?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate being here. I thank you for the privilege to participate in today's event. And being an Independence Day, it is worthy to note that as a country, we have gone through a lot in respect to economic challenges. Now, going back to the question, navigating, for me, let me coin it this way, navigating teammates through recent economic challenges. For us as a firm, and for me as an individual, this required a combination of strategic foresight, adaptability, and strong leadership on my part. The economic environment recently has been tough, especially in sectors like the human resources, outsourcing, has meant that we needed to be proactive rather than reactive. For us, I took the following step as a CEO, especially after the pandemic. And this has worked for us and continuously using this strategy to help us in these recent economic challenges we are facing as a firm. First for me was focusing on agility. I ensure that teammates remain agile by diversifying our services, exploring new market ground. We expanded our services, our offerings to include digital HR solutions, remote workforce management, adapting to the shift caused by the pandemic and advancing technology. Second for us as a firm, and more importantly for me, and I also tell a lot of people in our HR space, gone are the days that you will say, I am a human resources manager. I would not lean to understanding finances. It will be difficult for you to navigate this thing. So what we did was to say cost efficiency, maintaining financial health during these tough economic times is crucial as a business. We implemented cost-saving measures without compromising on the quality of our services. This including optimizing our internal processes and leveraging technology to reduce operational costs. Like I said, everybody must understand that cost saving is key and cost efficiency is the way to go within this period. Thirdly, for me, was employee engagement. Keeping the team motivated and focused was another critical factor for me. I believe in transparent communication, and during this challenging period, I make sure to regularly engage with my team, managers, and the young team as well, providing them with clear updates on our company performance and encouraging their input on how we could innovate. One thing I have told CEOs like myself is that you need to be open so that your employees understand what we do and how we make our money in the company and what are the things or steps that we need to take. And so my books were always open to the team. Fourth was what I call client-centric approach. We listen to our client needs more than ever, adapting our services to align with their evolving requirements. This flexibility helps us retain most of our client base and even expand it despite economic headwinds. Key qualities. Let me state it that the qualities I have always used or what I always try to bring out for me, I attack them read, what you normally call read, READ. Resilience for me as a leader needs to be able to withstand and recover from difficulties. Resilience allowed me to stay focused on long-term goals. We know where we want to go, where we want to be in the next 5 years. So we are tackling immediate challenges so that we can get there. Empathy for me was key and still remain key because understanding the struggles of two key stakeholders. The first one is your employees, your internal stakeholders, understanding their struggles, and also clients help us to build strong relationship and trust. Our invoices was not always on the front burner for us. It was providing these services for them and see how we can always assist them achieve their goal, which are vital during difficult period for us. Adaptability in uncertain times like these, being adaptable is crucial. The ability to pivot strategies quickly in response to changing economic conditions is key to staying competitive in this business. And lastly, is decision making, or what you want to call decisiveness. Taking both steps, calculated decisions at the right time is essential to maintain momentum and stay ahead of the curve. I want to employ everyone, especially leadership during economic challenges. It's about striking a balance between remaining optimistic and being pragmatic in decision making. I think I've been able to put context to this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eddie. I think what just struck me from what you said was that you were able to empathize with your internal and external customers. And that's what a lot of businesses don't really, take a second look at. They think that, oh, I'm paying these people, so they should come with their A game all the time. And everyone is going through, a certain challenge. You don't know. They are not able to give you the best that they should. So some businesses don't do that. They don't look at those options. They don't look at employees. They're just looking at the numbers, what is coming in. How can we get this? We have a target. We've got to meet it. So, lots of people do that. But I mean, coming from a CEO, I think lots of people are also going back to drawing board to say, you know what, if we don't treat our people well, we're not going to get the best that we need from them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to still come back to you, but now I'll go to Dr. Silvanus Jatto. And my question to you will be, Doctor, how has the economic downturn impacted employee well-being? And what wellness strategies can organizations implement to mitigate stress and burnout? Thank you for joining us this evening. Dr. Silvanus Jatto, thank you for joining us. It's gone off again.
Okay, it's back. Thank you, sister.
You.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this conversation. A very important one for that matter. And I will go straight into the question, which is twofold. How has the economic downturn impacted employee well-being? And then what the employer strategical things you could do to improve that, what can we do to improve that? Okay, so if we look at it from, you really need to look at it from the point of view of well-being, employee well-being, what this is. And of course, taking a common definition, which means well-being is being in that physical, mental, emotional, social, financial health. So it's all encompassing, and definitely the current economic situation is a financial aspect of the overall well-being, and they are all interrelated and definitely impacting employees one way or the other. At the end of the day, we are saying, how does the employee feel considering the economic downturn we've had? And you find out that every aspect of that employee well-being, the physical health is impacted, the mental health is being impacted, the social health is being impacted, the financial health of the employee is being impacted. I'll be speaking from my own experience, from my own work organization, what we have observed. What we have observed is a lot of anxiety and concern about job security that have become a source of worry. So people are so concerned, employees are so concerned, not very sure about, and I like what the doc said earlier. He talks about transparent communication. So those would be strategies employers need to, organization we need to employ to address the anxiety that employees are feeling about their job security as a result of the economic downturn. And where they are not assured, then you, of course, begin to see other manifestations of issues of health. The other aspect where this economy has to do with work-life balance, or what I prefer to call work-life integration. A fallout of not being sure of your job security. You find out that even when employees are feeling unwell, they believe they should be at work. I wouldn't want to be. In my organization, we have what we call a wellness center where my office sits, the wellness center where my office sits. And when employee come in and they come to say, oh, I'm not feeling well, the first question I ask them, why are you at work? Oh, he said, I just feel I should still come to work. I should still come to work. I said, no, you should have gone to the hospital first. If the doctor said you cannot come, he said, no, is there not something you can give me here now at work at this wellness center that I would take and still be at work? So it becomes a conversation of, look, I don't want to be seen, even though I'm not feeling well. And of course, if that is not managed adequately, then the next thing is that you're going to see a lot of medical issues arising and all that. Then, of course, an organization will have to work to ensure that the employee well-being and work-life integration is actually efficient. Then the other has to be issue of job satisfaction, because many organizations probably have had to make certain changes. During the COVID time, a lot of us worked from home, worked remotely. At a point, an organizations had to say, no more remote work. No more remote work. And it became an issue of, look, and there's issues of rising cost of transportation, rising cost of fueling for those who have cars, probably inadequate staff bus provision, so that would have mitigated. Now, and you're saying I can't work remotely or I can't work from home. It's beginning to impact job satisfaction, and that is translating into higher stress levels. We are beginning to see higher stress levels, among employees. We're beginning to see signs of depression among employees. As a result of that, we're beginning to see a higher level of agitation among employees because they are not satisfied. They believe that the economy that is impacting their financing so well, and the organization is not doing enough to help them manage that. And of course, financial strain. I've said that it's gone beyond where an organization will just say, oh, we have paid you your salary, you go and do whatever you like with it, which is part of the strategies I will be talking about later. We need to help employees to manage their finances better in this time. But of course, financial strain comes with a lot of mental health issues, stress levels, depressions, even physical illnesses. We've seen them increase absenteeism among employees. So all these are important. So this technology is impacting employees' overall well-being, both in their physical. We've seen poor sleep pattern among employees, poor sleep pattern. In fact, a greater part of this year, among all the sessions and webinars I've done in my organization, is telling people why they must sleep, how adequate and regular sleep, why they must sleep at a particular time. And we've done that over and over and over again, because we've seen people who their blood pressure started going up because they were not sleeping well. And of course, they are not sleeping well because they are trying to do so many things at the same time to make ends meet. And so the quality of sleep, the duration of sleep was beginning to reduce. So as an organization, we need to strategically position ourselves, to help employees address these issues. It's very important that we position. And one of them has to do with regular check-ins on employees. We need to be able to find out how our employees doing. In my organization, we have what we call People Talk, where we meet with employees, and I'm a very, very active member of that team that does what we call the People Talk. And the first question we ask employees are, how are you doing as a result of this. And it takes about 20-30 minutes, and it's to allow people to express themselves. Two things: it gives people the confidence to speak up, to know that the organization is listening to how they are feeling as a result of this economic downturn at this time. And of course, all the feedback are collated. Secondly, it enables employees to know that I am not the only one who is feeling the impact of this economic downturn. Like they always say, the rich also cry. Even the top management that are also feeling it. So if I'm saying that I'm having financial challenges, when we share like this, a manager stood up and said, "Look, I used to fill my car before the price went up with 40. Now to fill my tank, that will last me. I spent 100,000. So I tell my driver, don't put on AC when the weather is low." So it encourages. So that check-in is very important for us. Then we need to encourage employees, strategically encourage employees to pay attention to their health, like I said, we run awareness center, and what we try to do is not to run a clinic. As an organization, we're not running a clinic. It's a wellness center. So when you come and you interact with me, I'm able to guide you to get, it shows that we are paying attention. We don't want to just give you medication that gets you well and keeps you in the office working. And so we are always asking to go to the airport, arranging for them to get medical attention. And then we need to let employees strategically make provisions for support, what we call the employee assistance program. An organization needs to strategically structure an employee assistance program that helps employees to manage stress, that helps employees to manage mental health issues, that provide, and of course, in a confidential environment. As an organization, we run an employee assistance program. We've been running since 2018. We've had our employee assistance program structured, and that gives opportunity for employees to get help. Like I said, organization must also help employees to manage their finances at this time. You pay them their salary, you have to begin to bring in trainings on budgeting, trainings on financial planning, trainings on investment, on what they can do. No matter how small they earn, they can invest, they can find a way to manage their finances. We as an organization, we need to start to do that. And of course, managers must be ready. Line managers have a lot of role to play, as part of ELP, because they are closer to the employees than the executives. So, and when they notice, so we also run what we call line manager training on workplace mental health. We ran 2 trainings this year where we are training managers how to identify and signpost mental health issues among employees. We are not saying you are a psychologist. We are not saying you are a counselor. What we are just saying is that we need to train you so that when you see the signs of pressure, of stress, of mental health, you are able to signpost them and able to have a check-in with the employee. And of course, when they see that empathy and concern, they're able to guide them into the employee assistance program that the organization has provided and is being funded by the government, so that they can get the support they need. And of course, the workplace is a place where we must continue to encourage social connection among employees and creating an environment that allows the social network, that allows team bonding, which every business unit is encouraged to do, so to help people understand that we care for each other. So these proactive steps and many more. Of course, there's no single one fit in. Every organization would have to look at their demographic. My organization, our demographic points more towards a youth or a younger group. So we believe the young ones need a lot of this. And so we've designed every organization will just have to design their own strategic focus to help employees mitigate these current challenges that we are facing economy as an organization, as a nation at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jato. That's so interesting. Mike had a couple of things that you said about the employee assistance program. That's a great initiative because, people are in the workplace and they need help. but they're not getting it because businesses are focused on the numbers. A lot of businesses is how much are we going to make at the end of the year? What's the budget? We come at the beginning of the year and say, this is the budget. So when we get to the end of that year, we have to come and say, yes, we made it. We met the budget. We met the target. So line managers are under pressure. Supervisors are under pressure. Employees are under pressure because they need to. This is like a yardstick to show that we've done what we've been asked to do. We've done what we've come here to do. So I think it's a great one. And it's something that helps the employees to know that, the organization is always there to help should they need any assistance. So thank you very much for that. That's very insightful. Thank you very much. So I'm going to come back to you again, Dr. Sylvanus, but now I'll go to Dr. Omotola-Adedapo. I think congratulations are in order, Dr. Adedapo. I know that you're the newest doctor in town. Congratulations. And thank you for honoring us with your presence this evening. My question to you will be on HR strategies for the workforce management, Dr. Adedapo. In light of the current economic situation, what HR strategies can organizations adopt to retain talent while minimizing costs? And that's something that a lot of organizations are thinking of. How can we achieve this? How can we, get quality yet not spend so much? How can we minimize that? How can we minimize costs but retain talent? Because in this situation, a lot of people are looking at the numbers. They're looking at, they need XYZ amounts to be able to cater for their own needs. And people are sort of, either doing something else while they're in the workplace because they have to get something extra. And that means that they're not giving 100% in the workplace. How can we maximize getting talent, retaining talent, but not spending, excessively? I won't say too much because the organization has to spend, but not excessively, maintaining the quality. Dr. Adedapo.
Okay, I think Dr. Adedapo just it's having network issue, so
Okay.
she's no longer in the room. Maybe you pass the question to Esther, or when she comes back, you can throw the question back to her. Can go
Okay,
to
so let's go to the next question then, which will be on psychological safety and organizational culture, and that's Dr. Olayinka Jibuno. Dr. Olayinka Jibuno, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. So my question will be: given the psychological toll of economic challenges, how can HR cultivate a culture of psychological safety in the workplace? Dr. Olayinka Jibuno, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So,
Welcome.
so we've asked that how can HR create um, like a safe space for their staff within the workplace, right? Okay. So first, it's important that we train our HR to, like my previous colleague said, where they had opportunities to train HR on how to identify simple psychological distress. So they're able to come in at very early stages and prevent further progression of the illness. It's important for the HR as a department because I believe it's a very, very vital department within every organization. It's important for us to train the HR department on how to really be a safe space for the colleagues and the employees, because from experience, people would say, "Oh, I'm afraid to tell HR that I'm depressed, I'm not sleeping because I might get sacked. I'm afraid to call in sick, because I might get sacked." But if that's the culture within the workplace, you find that on the long run, it affects productivity. So people come into the workplace, they are present in body, but they're absent in mind. Something we call presenteeism. Because they have to be there, they are there, but really within their minds, they are elsewhere. And you find that they're not meeting their deadlines, they're not as productive as you want, or when it's time to deliver your Q3, Q4 goals or your KPIs, you find that they're not meeting up to standard. So first, I would say we need to train. Training can include teaching them to use basic checklists. basic checklists that they can just use to identify psychological distress. Every single person is susceptible to psychological distress, including the HR himself or herself. No one is immune. The CEO, the HR, every single staff. No one, even myself as a psychologist as well, I'm not even immune to psychological distress. So it's important that we see it as something that affects every single one of us. And if we see it as that, then there's a collective effort, to improve the workplace. So teaching them to use basic checklists, that can help identify psychological distress is one. Teaching empathic skills, teaching our HR professionals to be more empathic. Empathy is where you put yourself in the other person's shoes. So sometimes there's this tendency to attribute. So when people come up with excuses, there's this tendency to attribute those excuses to bad behavior. I'll give an example. Someone calls in late or has a flat tire on their way, or comes to work late, naturally, as humans, there's that tendency to say you came to work late because you are lazy or you overslept. There's that tendency to want to see the bad. There's a bad reason why you came to work late. But when we have an empathic approach, you're more likely to put yourself in that situation. What if this person is battling an illness? What if this person is taking care of a special needs child at home? What if this person put in all the effort to get to work, but some downfall driver or someone just messed things up? But the point is, before you judge, before you slam the person, be more empathic, try to put yourself in the other person's shoes, try to understand the challenges the individual is going through. When you make yourself as a HR professional, put yourself in that kind of situation, your staff are more likely to open to you because they see you as a safe space. They see you as someone that they can share their problems with and not get judged or not get a query or not get sacked. So that is very important. So building empathic skills is very important. And so many others. I'll just stop there so I don't go on and on.
Thank you, Dr. Jibono. So I just picked up something, and I'm going to take us a bit backwards to what you said. So this is HR now trying to be empathic, and this is HR's manager not liking HR being empathic. I think these are some of the things that we have to actually take another look at to say, okay, we're looking at HR, head of HR managers, they're the ones who have to typically deal with the team and all of that. But are we looking at the top guys, the C-suite people who are the decision makers? Are they open to this empathy? Are they open to letting HR do this sort of thing? And the question is for you, Dr. Jibono. What would you say that we can do?
So I believe it's important for HR to understand that they are the bridge between top management and the employees. They are the bridge. I don't believe that they should lean to one side. So yes, you have your director of HR who has risen through the levels or through the hierarchy over time. Even if you do become the director of HR and you're second in command to the MD or the CEO, you're still, by virtue of your training or your field, you are a bridge between top management and lower employees and lower management. And it shouldn't just be something in the books. It should exude in your behavior, your personality, the way you approach both sides, so you're not biased towards top management. So, okay, when they say they want to cut employees, HR because say, yes, I agree. Let's lay off. If there's an economic downturn, let's lay off 50 staff, favoring top management, not also considering the fact that lower management, you have people there who will now become unemployed. Their children won't be able to go to school anymore. Some marriages will break up because of the job loss and all of that. So when you put yourself in a situation where you're weighing both sides, that's where empathy is. You're not leaning more to one side to favor one side, but you stay in the middle, weigh both sides, put yourself in both shoes. When you have to make such a decision about laying off staff, you weigh it, laying off staff versus maybe pay cuts. Why don't we maybe cut pay and look at maybe when things improve, paying them back as bonuses versus laying off half of the workforce to keep the company afloat? Those are the kind of decisions we make that make us more empathic on the long run.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jibono. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go to our next guest. Esther Ilueme on employee engagement and development. And my question will be, what are some practical steps HR can take to keep employees engaged, motivated, and productive in an economically challenging environment? This is, I mean, what is going on today? How do we get employees to, to be excited to come to work? These days, employees, I mean, I don't say they don't want to come. They want to come to work, obviously, because they have to make ends meet. But how do we, as HR people, engage employees, make them keep that excitement that they've had from day one?
Okay, thank you, Susan.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tia. Thank you, everyone on this call. Happy Independence, Nigeria. Okay, so it is not hidden. Everywhere you turn in Nigeria, you will see it biting hard and staring you right in the face. Things are tough. Businesses are not smiling. And just as much as employees are crying wolf, employers are crying bitterly. So keeping the employees engaged becomes a very critical issue for the HR manager. And this is where the HR plays a very vital role of not just being, I don't know what's going on, but can anybody hear me? Can you still hear me?
Very well,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so this is where it becomes very pivotal for HR to play important roles, of not just being the HR in terms of operations, but in functionality. How are you helping the business? And the business of HR is actually the business. And the business of the business is the people. So how do we keep these people who oversee the business? Yes, the CEO is there. And I love what Mr. Richard Eddy had said earlier as a CEO, talking from the point of a CEO, some of his pains, some of his gains, some of the consensus he's had to reach, and some of the things he's had to let go, just so he keeps the business going. One of the critical aspects, and I think it's greatly and largely overlooked, is the aspect of communication. In fact, let me rephrase it. It is the aspect of effective communication. So there is a difference between just communicating and then making your communication effective. And effective will be that people truly see and get the owners of the message. It's not just passing the message. How transparent and effective is your communication? There's something we've been able to achieve in extended networks, right? It all started during the COVID, and I said to myself, my boss is a foreigner, right? It's not based in Nigeria, he comes and goes. And so he got stuck. And we needed to hear from the horse's mouth. We needed to know, people needed to see where the business is heading, where are we at, where are we going, what's the next thing on the ship, what is happening. And I said to her, I said, look, we need to create an avenue for you to communicate, talk to the people, let them know what the business is up to, part-time, per season. And he said, yes, go ahead. And we created what we call a chat with the MD. And so he comes on board every quarter to say, okay, this is where the business is headed. For this quarter, we have achieved so, and so. And if you look at the roadmap for this business for this year, we have said we will do this. At this time, we have said we will do that. Okay, we've not been able to do this, and this is why we've not been able to do it. And this has greatly improved engagement. People are happy. The MD, they're always looking forward to the chat with the MD. The MD is saying it. We are hearing from, you don't give room for grapevines. You don't give room for assumptions. You give people what to think about. You give them what to say. People who are scared that, oh, because of the economy, oh my God, our business is going down. And of course, our major client, MTN, now went on air and posted 740 billion naira losses. And everybody became scared. Oh no, business is going to be affected. There's going to be retrenchment. We are going to. And I told them, you need to come and speak. People are already becoming agitated. And he came and said, no, we are not affected. Yes, MTN is affected. We are not affected. This is what we are planning to do. And MTN has come to say, this is this, this is it. So transparent and effective communication is one critical aspect of keeping people engaged during economical challenging downtimes. Another aspect is making sure that people understand the role they play in your organization, okay, which is part of your motivational factor, okay? Let people know, and in fact, it's called a strategic alignment lever, right? People need to know how their roles play meaningful impacts in the success of an organization's vision and goals. So let them know, keep re-emphasizing it. And one thing I've tried to do actually is very, very intentional. I like saying it, is the fact that when we create the onboarding program for new hires, we intentionally make sure that every new hire goes through all the departments. It does not matter how long it takes, but you must go through the departments. You need to understand what each unit represents for that organization so that you know how your parts will contribute to the entire well-being of that organization. And so it is very intentional. And we have done that successively. And people who have come from big organizations, I'm saying this now, and I'm very happy to say it actually. They come to me and say, this is the best onboarding program they've ever had. And it's intentional. And you see people navigating their new roles seamlessly, easily, which is what onboarding should actually do for employees. So that's the second thing. You must be able to help people understand how their roles manifest in the whole plan and structure. Let them know that they can contribute meaningfully to the organization's goals. Another thing you can make that you can create for employees at such times like we have in Nigeria is empathizing with them. Listen to their calls. Empathize. When they come to you, the first reaction should not be, my friend, you again. Your first reaction should be, is there a problem actually? How can we help? Because as an HR, you play three critical roles. You are a coach, one. You are a defender, if you can say defender of the universe. And then you are a super fan. Okay, so you must try to manifest at different aspects at this time when employees come to you. So give them that listening ear, empathize with them, and then find how you can create solutions. Besides, it's one of your duties to solve conflicts, to create solutions. You need to look after the business of the business. And I keep saying the business of the business is actually the people. Okay? Because when the people are okay, the business is settled and it's okay. Another thing we need to look at is making sure the line managers understand that they are in control of employees' engagement. You know, most times I hear people say that it is the duty of HR, right? But you forget that you are not actually interfacing with these people on a daily basis. It is their line managers, their line supervisors who interface with them. So it becomes very important for the HR to have sessions. If you can call it what we call, that's what we call it, permit me to, what's that word now? It's used in the agile world, right? You have sessions where you talk to the line managers, let them share their heartbeat with you. Who are some of your critical talents? How are you managing them? What are some of the things you are finding difficult? This is how I can help you. It is your job to liaise with them and make sure they are fully engaging their downlines, their team members. If they fail, you have failed, right? Stand-up meetings, yes. If they fail, you have failed, right? So you have to always engage the line managers. It is not the duty of HR to clean messes. I don't clean messes. I only help equip you to be able to clean your mess if you mess up a place. Okay, so let's train our line managers. It has become very important at this time that the line managers understand that if the employees are going to stay truly engaged, it will come from them. Because of course, you see, when you conduct exit interviews, some of them are very humble, in quotes. They would not want to mention their line manager's name. But from your interactions with them, you will see that some of them, some of the work stressors they are getting is actually directly from their line managers. Their line managers are not listening. Their line managers are not putting context to situations. Their managers are not, concerned, not empathizing with their situations. And that does not give room for employees to start misbehaving. There are rules and regulations governing, right?
Yes.
And one other thing we'd like to say at this point is make sure they know that they have developmental opportunities. Because it's not all about the hygiene factors here now, about the salaries, right? About the HMOs, about going to the gym, about going to, it is about the motivation. It is about having work to do. It is about people understanding that there is a career path. When I move from this point, I'm going to the next point. And I'll give you a context. Some time ago, my CEO started talking about bringing a head of engineering. And I saw somebody who started together. It's very good. He understands the business. He's the one calling the shots when it comes to projects and deployment. We deploy sites for mobile network operators. He's the one calling the shots. He's the one telling them what to do. He's trained a lot of people. And I whispered to my MD, I said, what makes you think this guy cannot handle that role? Internal mobility. What makes you think? I bet you, from what I am seeing at this point, if you bring in an external person, it is the same person that will train that person, because our line of business is bespoke. It is the same guy that will train the person that will come and head him. That is the truth. So,
and that can demotivate that person.
Thank you. Yeah. The person will still need to learn, and it is this guy that will train him. So internal mobility is very important, right? How are you? See, now, let me take it back to what I started with. Onboarding. You make people go through the whole department intentionally so that they understand the business, the core values, and the core nature.
We're going to come back to a couple of things. We're going to come back to that. Yes, I think there are a couple of other things I want to quickly touch on before we also come back and look at motivating, engagement, and all of that. So I'm going to come back to you on that.
All right.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you very much. I mean, you've said a lot, which part of what Dr. Eddie said initially, transparency, effective communication, and all of that. So I will go back very quickly and bring back Dr. Dayo-Adedapo, the latest doctor in town. Doctor, thank you for joining us tonight. And my question to you will be on HR strategies for workforce management. And the question is, in light of the current economic situation, what HR strategies can organizations adopt to retain talent whilst maximizing costs? What HR strategies can organizations adopt to retain talent while they maximize costs? Dr. Adedapo.
Thank you so much, Madam Susan. It feels good. It feels good to be called doctor. It's the first platform that I'm having to be called doctor after the conference yesterday. Thank you, TA and the HR with TA community for being the first to recognize that. I'm super honored to be here, excited to be here. Thank you for having me, TA, and the entire HR with TA community. And it's been an interesting conversation so far. Thank you for putting this together. And thanks for moderating, Madam Susan. Thanks and well done to all the earlier speakers. I just keep saying thank you. Don't worry, it's not only thank you I'm here to say, but it was important to recognize the existing protocols and appreciate everyone who's been a part of putting this together and also speaking with us. So your first question, you had asked, what strategies can we put together to in order to retain talent whilst minimizing costs. Interesting conversation. It's tough, really tough out there. The first thing I'm just going to say is borrowing a leaf from what we do in the organization where I work, Sterling Financial Holding Company. We've always believed that our key mantra for employee experience is we tell our people and we help our people live your best life and do your best work. And it doesn't get simpler than that. Right now, we're at a time where you really can't pay enough, because if you increased salary last year and you increase this year, maybe just after your increase, fuel went up, dollar went up, bag of rice, bag of beans, yam went up. We find that we can't keep up. So aside from salary, what next? It's I like that, Esther mentioned a lot to what we're talking about regarding employee experience. It's really important to have built an organization where employees know there's that trust. They know that, number one is that they know that you're people-centric, you have their best interests at heart, you're looking out for them. So when you say that it's tough doing business, they understand that it's not because you don't want to give them stuff, but because you're also struggling as a business. And a lot of organizations are finding it tough as well, because the same way you're buying fuel expensive and your cost of running at home has gone up, is the same way cost of doing business has gone up. So you want to build an organization where there's that sense of connection. Your employees, there's that ownership and understanding that we are in this organization together, like we die there, that kind of thing. Your struggles are our struggles. We are together in this. So that's, if you've built an organization where your employees, they know your struggles and they'll have that understanding that we're in this together, you've solved half of the problem. So it's not too difficult for them to understand that you can't do monetary benefits or compensation increase, or all of those nice stuff that would have been nice to do, because the realities are harsh. And even you as a business, for sustainability, to avoid laying people off, you want to also put your cost in check. You want to also manage your overhead and all of the, the financials. So back to what I was saying around live your best life and do your best work, which is the mantra that we adopt where I work. There are other ways, and I'll start with well-being, which has been talked, we've said a lot about well-being, and I'm not going to bother on that. In everything you do, I'm not going to stretch that. In everything you do, just ensure that you don't have a toxic workplace. That's like the first thing, because if you are unable to give a lot of benefits and compensation increase and match what's happening in the market, or catch up with the economic realities, you want to ensure that you're also not doing badly in terms of culture. So this is a time to really, really prioritize culture. And what is culture? What are your culture pillars, and how are you improving on the different areas that are important to you in terms of your culture? How are you strengthening communication, top-down, bottom-up communication? How are you monitoring line manager affinity? So when people come into your organization, just like what the previous speaker had spoken to, in your onboarding process, what do employees meet when they join the organization? And what's the experience they are getting from that initial point? And it goes on like that, the entire employee life cycle. When you're talking about performance and productivity, how do you drive that? And how do you avoid toxicity at the different life cycle points for your employees? So you want to ensure that to keep employees, meanwhile, in the current reality, in the now of work, the current realities, the workforce of today, maybe we're not stressing on retention any longer, but optimization, because we find that as harsh as the realities are, there's so many forces that are contending for our employees. And it's not just competition. There's immigration, the nation as a whole, might not be very favorable to a lot of people. So they're emigrating. A lot of, and you find out with this current generation, where people are not necessarily spending all of their time doing work. So you see someone has worked for 3, 4, 5 years, they're resigning to go do their own thing, start a business and all of that. So there are different forces in the now of work that make retention a very tough conversation to have. So let's start from optimization. And all of these things I've said with what the previous speakers have said, help you speak to optimization, how you can get the best of them whilst they're there. Now, let's assume that retention is really important to you for, longevity, sustainability, and all of those stuff. How do you ensure that you're keeping people with you? If you work on culture, you get to a point where people see that there are better paying companies, but they'll rather stay with you because they won't trade their sanity for money. They won't sell their soul for money. You look around you, and in the sector that you're in, there are organizations that even have enough cash to pay better. And I think that's something that has worked for us to a very large extent, because when we say great place to work, our organization has, for the last 5 to 7 years, been at the forefront of building that culture within the financial services sector. So that's one thing that has worked for us. The third thing I would want to speak to is ensuring that you have an environment or a workplace where you actually allow people discover themselves and pursue not just success at work. Again, speaking to live your best life and do your best work, because many times when we hear that, it's not just, a mother that has a child they need to breastfeed or attend to, or a home or flexible work and all that. It is that some people have other things that they love to do that bring them a sense of fulfillment and achievement. You don't build a workplace where they spend all of their days, all of their lives at work. They don't have a life to do anything. So some people have side hustle or side hustle, as people call it jokingly. Some people have other things that bring them interest. And some people, they're just passionate about stuff and they're not necessarily monetizing the other things they do, but they just want to have something else they do outside of work. If you have an organization that I've had stories of organizations that even recognize these things. In fact, they'll even patronize you. So for example, you're doing a meeting at work or a program at work. They know that you're a caterer. You're 8 to 5, you're at 12, or 5 to 8, you are doing catering business. So say, come, bring your coats. And because they know you'll give them good prices. So, those are organizations that have gone far ahead in understanding that when it comes to what people want the opportunity to be able to pursue other passions, pursue other interests. It is in the days of old that once you're working, you spend all your life at work, everything about your life is that work. Now, there's nobody shouting job security. It was in the past that job security was a thing, like, oh, you'll be cheated if you're not sure that you will maintain your job the next day, because why? You don't have any other thing you're doing. So in the world of today, people, not just because they want a backup plan, but you find that people have multiple interests. And you find that with the recent generation of workers that we have in our space, they have multiple interests, they have multiple things that they're passionate about. They want to be able to pursue these multiple interests and still give their best at work. And that's what we say. That's what we mean when we say, as an employee, live your best life, whatever best life means to you. If you're a family person, focus on building your family. Get the
Enjoy
best
family
out of it.
life.
Yes,
Make time for family life.
make
Yeah.
time for family. If you're someone who has other passions, so far it's not conflicting, your interest is not conflicting with your contract, you can do other things, but bring your best self to work, whatever best self means to you, and then you that way you get the best of them.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adedapo. Thank you very much. That was
Thank
really
you.
insightful. We're going to, because of our time, also want to talk about a couple of other things that other speakers want to, speak to as well. So I hope that we can come back to you on a couple of other questions that we have for
No
you.
problem.
But I will go to Precious Ajono now. What can HR professionals do to contribute to nation-building efforts while managing workplace challenges? Precious Ajono, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm really, really happy to be here. I think one of the things I've listened to all the speakers and really great insights so far, But the only thing I would add, especially specifically as it relates to nation building, is that we now must sync HR with strategy. Gone are the days where HR plays that sort of second role and we're not in those power rooms where decisions are made, because it becomes very difficult if you as HR director, you are not a leader yourself. How then do you influence, especially in our environment where culture goes from top to bottom, not the other way around? It's very rare that you'll find a Nigerian company where culture flows from bottom up. You usually would need the visionary, whether it's the governor, the president, or the CEO or founder, to be bought on a particular culture for it to flow down. And one of the things that we've done I run a public service academy, and one of the things that have helped is because, of course, I had the political will back in the work that I was doing. But something else that also helped was the approach that my team and I won't say the work was done only by me, used when it came to change management. It's also important for HR people to get the trust of the organization where they work. And how do you build trust? You build trust by being consistent, whether it's up or down. I'll tell you something very interesting about the public sector. I give this example a lot. I was in a closed door meeting once, making some decisions that would affect about almost 40,000 civil and public servants. I came out of that meeting. It was a very closed door meeting, very high level. And somebody called me to say, thank you for walking the talk. The person who called me was not in the meeting, but the person called me to say, thank you for walking the talk. So imagine if I went there and I did something out of character, it will have big implications. They might not call you, but they know. So similar to children, people know when you're being hypocritical. Because I find that in this part of the world, we all know everything theoretically. So, but you wonder, where are the bad organizations? Employees are playing organizations every day. But when we do things like this, everybody will come with the theory. Not us on this call, we're all saying the truth. But typically I find that, the theory is great, but you go to the organization and you find that we're not practicing what we preach. So I like to focus on the simple things, just major on the minors. Simple things like, number one, practicing what you preach. Number two, also showing leadership, how it helps them. One of the things that I have also found, especially with leaders around here, is there's such a thing called enlightened self-interest. Most people are very selfish, and as HR professionals, we can use it. What does that mean? You need to show the board, you need to show the leaders, you need to show everybody how following the right HR practices, building the right culture benefits them. You need to be able to tie, whether it's learning and development, which is the first thing that they cut as you go through challenges. But one of the work, because I run a training program, imagine, for a training academy for governments. I mean, how many governments are leveraging training institutions? But we've grown from Edo, and now we service the entire region. And it's because we were able to bring all the heads of service in the room and tie training to strategy, tie it to performance, so that it's not something just abstract. Because sometimes business leaders think when we talk about things like team bonding, we're just having fun. They're not able to see, and sometimes we don't communicate how that helps and then focus on the data. So I'm not going to take too much time, but all I would just charge us is, we've said everything, and I just imagine that if all of us on this call committed to making our corners shine and doing exactly as we have said, I'm sure that the impact will be felt everywhere. So thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. I mean, there's something key you just said this evening. You said, practice what you preach. So it shouldn't be all about the talk and not walking the walk, right? And that's what we see in a lot of instances, that people know what we should do. People know the right things to do, but they don't. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Because of our time, I want to quickly move to Ayotunde Olainka, and you'll be giving us your, you'll be talking on national outlook and the HR's role in nation building. So my question to you will be, in what ways can HR collaborate with business leaders to foster economic resilience, both in their organizations and at a national level? And I think that's something that maybe Precious just mentioned now, but that's part of what we want you to talk about. In what ways can HR collaborate with business leaders to to foster economic resilience, both in their organizations and at a national level? Ayotunde Olayinka.
Okay, Susan, thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll throw two questions back at you. Why do you want me to repeat what has already told us? And by the way, thank you so much, Susan. I mean, there are a few interesting things that I'd like to talk to you about, possibly outside of this room. But Susan, I hear you. When I looked at the topic, when I looked at the topic that the meetup sent to me, it was more or less, and I'm very brief, it was basically navigating the economic challenges and building resilience in the workplace. And I opened the door into this room today, found myself in the middle of very high-level HR professionals. So I took my seat and I began to enjoy your very interesting discourse. Let me also say that I was very careful before I walked into this room. I called the HR staff in my HR officer in my office. She's a very brilliant lady. I said, hey, I've got an example, right? Can you please give me the answer to this question so I can present it like I'm the one that did it? And so she did a whole lot of telling me what to say, what I should say. And then I got here, I found out, yeah, if I'd written that exam, I would have passed. But let me indulge a bit to delving into a part of this conversation that I think we might be missing out if we don't deal with it. And that is the place of economic challenges, economic turbulence, which is a national issue, and how it impacts on employee resilience. And we seem to be talking a lot about employee resilience here. Yeah, but I also have sat back, especially during COVID. COVID, I was caught in the US for 8 months. But my organization, we continued to run. And I looked back after COVID. I asked myself, do they really need me in this organization? Am I as important as I used to think I was? And honestly, I realized I'm not what I thought I was to the organization. I'm just a staff. It's just that somebody must be the end. And I don't want to take your time. I'm staring at the clock as I'm talking to you. I have a finance manager today that I've not seen in 6 months. Our family relocated to Ilorin because they felt they were better off working out of that place. And she had to resign. And I said to her, really? How many times did I even see you in Lagos? And she walked today from Kwara State, and there's nothing that she would have done better. In fact, in her contract, she's supposed to come to Lagos every quarter, do quarterly review. We are even doing it as well. And we're doing great. And all like that, I can tell you a few things that have changed in the workplace. So when you talk of resilience, the way you HR professionals are able to talk about it, maybe that's what I'm trying to start the surface of. I may not be doing a great job of it, but I am trying to start that surface. And I can say that the organization I ran 4 or 5 years ago is a different organization from today. But we just bear the same name. And so when I walk into this room and I see HR managers managing people like me, because a lot of you are HR professionals, have very high level professionals. Managing people like me, 20 years, I was an employee. And the last 10 years, I've been an employee. And all I try to do sometimes is to put that person in front of me in the place I was a few years ago. But really, it's not the same anymore. I liked it when Dr. Bisajan said there are people who, the lady that said there are people who do side hustles. Really, it's interesting. I asked them to say I know they do event planning. So why don't they do it for my office? But let me take you to the little part that I think we must focus on, which is organizational resilience itself. Because no matter how resilient our HR systems are, people who work with are, the mistakes they can learn, they can optimize. If the organization itself is not resilient to the changing times, it's just going to be efficiency in the middle of inefficiency.
Yes, so that's part of what we're going to talk about. And I think that's what the next speaker is actually going to speak to. But I'll let you to maybe round up. So we'll allow Dr. Eddie. There's something he's going to talk to us about, leadership and business resilience. So probably he will touch on that. But I'd like you to, finish up your sentence and give us your insight, because there's something you just said now that's really critical. And a lot of organizations don't want to do that they have team members who are working from out of state. People don't want to do that, but I think things are changing. And I mean, that's such a huge one to hear from someone saying this is actually happening.
Okay, well, to be honest, that's not so much of my interest. My major interest is how the organizations themselves become resilient to the changing economy. Every time we're talking about inflation, every time we're talking about change rate, every time we give the impression that we're working in a difficult economic terrain, and our employees are the victims of that. Question I need to ask you in this room and myself is it the truth? No, it's not the truth. You see, prices are rising. Petroleum prices are rising. House rents are rising. Absolutely every cost is rising. And we think that we can run a business without employees' wages rising in a commensurate standard. In that same, maybe it doesn't cover everything. We don't have a choice but to react economically as a nation and as employers. You are HR manager. I am not. But if my HR manager doesn't come to me to say that, look, we need to improve employee pay by 40%, something in my mind tells me she's not doing the right thing. So my challenge as a businessman is, are my prices the same with what it was last year? Am I charging my clients the same thing? If I am, I'm in the wrong business. So I think there is more to this resilience than just the HR role. I think it's more of a thing where organizations need to change even the businesses they're doing, the way they're doing businesses, the diversification, most importantly, the way we begin to handle risk. I think I've said quite a lot. I possibly can't unbundle them in this space. We've talked a whole lot about employee resilience. I think at the time we must focus on organizations' resilience itself. If you don't want to go on, because if you go under, there's no employee.
Exactly.
That's where. Thank you very
much. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming, for being with us tonight. And thank you to everyone. I think because of our time, I'll encourage the participants, please send your questions to the chat room and we'll start taking them. And we'll have only a few minutes to take questions. We have a lot of other questions we wanted to talk about tonight, but because of time, we can't go there. Well, before we go to, if I'll just indulge everyone to just give us a few more minutes, I would like Dr. Richard Eddy to just speak to leadership and business resilience. I think it's something that we have to talk about because we've been talking about employees and, how employees should be encouraged, how they should be engaged and motivated. Now, I want to look at business leadership and business resilience. In what ways do you think that HR can partner with leadership to foster resilience and innovation in the face of economic pressures? And this is to Dr. Richard Eddy. I think this will speak to how employees can work with businesses to improve the business environment, to maybe come up with business ideas that will improve the income, that will improve the bottom line as well. Dr. Richard Eddy? That will be our last question for this evening.
Thank you for closing with me, and thanks for. I think I've just been noting down a lot of things. All the speakers have been great tonight. I think I will tell Aloba to have another sessions with us so that our listeners can learn more. Ourselves, we too can learn more from ourselves. I've been overwhelmed with a whole lot tonight, and I appreciate all the speakers tonight. Going back to the questions you have asked tonight on fostering resilience and how employees can do better. Let me go back to there was something I noted earlier. There are two principles in life. First is what we get to understand in Proverbs to say that my people perish for lack of vision. Vision drives organization, and as an individual, we also need to have our own vision, even as employees. And so combining this employee vision, 5-year strategic goal an employee wants to achieve, the organization again, putting a picture to where we want to get to. Remember the Sanballat and Tobiah story, where Nehemiah had a vision, but Sanballat and Tobiah were doubtful of where he wants to go. Bringing that into our context is saying that for every vision we have as a firm, and trying to say that in the next 5 to 10 years, this is where we want to be. There are always doubters in the team. We must be able to carry them along, not by force, but also selling this vision to them. And one of those ways to do that as a firm is to align workforce agility and flexibility. One key for us is that human resources can help us build a flexible and adaptable workforce capable of responding quickly to changes. This includes the following. I itemized them in three parts. I said cross-training employees to handle multiple roles. Remember, one of the speakers spoke about it, increasing flexibility and reducing the impact of staff shortages. Employees need to be trained in such a way that by the time they understudy or study what happens in other departments, it gives them an holistic view of what the vision is of the company. Secondly, for me, I said encouraging remote or hybrid work model. Just hear what Ayo said. 6 months, he has not seen a finance person who is core and critical to every organization. I hope I can get to that level in our firm. Yeah, in 6 months, I have not seen Ismail, my finance manager, or in 9 months, I have not seen Oge, our HR manager, but then the job is still going. Encouraging this in organization builds efficiency and in this economic downtime that we are. Then secondly, going back to my first talk, saying workforce agility and flexibility, we must be able to implement agile staffing model, like having people who can do part-time jobs, part-time hours to scale up or down as needed, reducing long-term financial risks. More importantly, like our psychologist said earlier, employee engagement and well-being. A lot of us concentrate so much on the job that needs to be done and forgetting that we need to develop wellness program for our employees. I manage one of these firms, and I remember quarterly it becomes compulsory for them to send a mail to employees asking them about their well-being, paying subscriptions for them to go to the gym, paying different subscriptions for them to see psychologists to help them in their next phase of life. I was challenged and I said, this is a new place the workforce is taking us to. Developing wellness programs to support employees' physical and mental health, helping them to stay focused and productive despite external stressors. And this, for me, is key for us as leaders, as CEOs of organizations. Providing, a lot of us were there, providing transparent communication, This is very key. This is very key. When we say companies are doing well, we must be able to align this with communicating what we are doing to employees. And lastly, for me, foster positive work environment through recognition programs and celebrating successes. We must be able to celebrate our employees when they are doing well. This boosts a lot of morals. You go to organizations, they said, this is employee of the month. A whole lot of this brings a lot and best from the employees. Thirdly, talent development and upskilling. Economic pressures often require businesses to do more with less. And this is where the human resources can partner with leadership in organization to first invest in employee training and development, focusing on upskilling existing staff to meet evolving business need. Going back to what my very good friend had just said now, the lady who said head of engineering was coming up. And I recall that at one point in time in our firm, having worked for 3 years, we needed a CEO, someone who understands our business model. And the goal for us was to go out. But then, looking at our internal strength and what we have been able to do, we got someone in-house. And today, she's doing wonderful with the role she has been assigned to. And that's amazing. We must be able to upskill our people. Now, another point for me, I'm very personal about the employees must keep learning. Yes, environment for them by encouraging employees to seek new skills and creative approaches to problem solving. I wouldn't want to take our time, but I need to talk on these. Fostering diversity and inclusion. Over time, I have seen organizations where people say, we can't employ this set of people. We can't employ this set of people because they do not align with us. And I think it's not to be found in the workplace. When we foster resilience by bringing varied perspective and ideas that leads to innovation, the human resources can help leadership to promote diversity in hiring, leadership role, and decision making, and to leverage different viewpoints for creative solution. And lastly, for me, before we go to take questions from our audience, by strategically partnering with leadership, human resource units, department managers can create adaptable, innovative workforce that is capable of bearing down economic pressures while continuing growing the firm. Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much. And I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone that has come on tonight on this webinar. A lot of information has gone out there. A lot of knowledge has been shared. And we believe that people have learned a lot. There's a question here that says, how do you balance empathy and logic to make better decisions? Note, we should not determine the facts with emotions. The facts and emotions will play a vital role. How do you balance empathy and logic to make better decisions? We should not determine the facts, should not undermine the facts that emotions will play a vital role. I would like to throw this to Dr. Adedapo. I don't know if you're still here. How do you balance empathy and logic to make better decisions? We should not undermine the fact that emotions will play a vital role.
Yes, empathy, balancing empathy. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, so balancing empathy and logic. So it's important. Leadership really. A key aspect of being a leader is emotional intelligence. And that's why it's important as HR, as leaders, business leaders, to ensure that our entire leadership system, we take our leaders through emotional intelligence training, coaching as much as possible. You want to build leaders that have empathy. Really, there is no intersection where empathy comes against logic, because it's not as if empathy is illogical. Empathy is just being able to understand emotional connections or emotional triggers or reactions or what makes people act the way they do emotionally. And you also managing your own emotions. So being able to step into the thinking or the perspective of that person really is what empathy is. And that doesn't that doesn't that what's the word now? That does not conflict with logic in any way. So it's important that when we're having conversations and we're trying to make decisions as people, as leaders, we put empathy at the forefront in dealing with humans, because yes, like you said, all humans are quite emotional beings. Our emotions will play out one way or another, however way you look at it. So you're trying to make a decision, for example, I'll give an example. Decisions around promotion or decisions around layoff. Let me use layoff because I know that there was a question around layoff. How do you bring in empathy into that side by side with logic? So the logical thing is we need to lay off staff. Why? Maybe because the business needs to remain sustainable or because there were performance issues. So you want to ensure that there's a very logical process that is driving your layoff decision. So it's not because you don't like people's faces. So there's a performance benchmark that has not been met. You have done everything your policy or process has stated you should do in helping people perform better. You've taken them through PIP and all of that stuff. Or it is that your business needs to be sustainable. So you need to lay off some people to manage costs and all of that. So that's a logical thing that needs to be done. So you want to stick to the logical process you have put in place to ensure that it is objective, it is fair, it is not in any way unfair or there's inequity in that process. Now, how do you balance it with empathy? Understanding that, well, this is a logical decision being made, but people have families to go to. So you want to make the process as transparent, as supportive as possible. You want to ensure that you manage communication. You want to ensure that you manage trust in the process. And that's where empathy comes in, because you want the people who are being laid off to not feel less than themselves. You don't want them to feel less than human. So how do you communicate the fact that you're laying off someone without stripping them of their entire integrity and honor as humans, without making them feel so bad? Some people enter into depression because they were laid off, and then you wonder, some people commit suicide because they were laid off. Something went wrong in that process. So you're not making them feel like, well, it's the end of the world for you. We don't like you. Get out of here. So it just speaks to how you understand the pain of the people who will be laid off. So you manage that communication with all sense of integrity, all sense of transparency and empathy, because you still want them to see that this was a logical process. So I think that's a very good example that has answered your question, and maybe another one you might not have had the time to ask. And I'll leave it there
Thank
for
you very
now.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you so much, Dr. Adedapo. You've actually spoken to a couple of other questions that we didn't ask tonight. And this says, like Dr. Eddie said to Temitope Aloba, you have to have another session like this. A lot hasn't been said tonight, so we need to have that. So before we round up, and I just indulge a few more minutes, Temitope Aloba, your question will be on national outlook and HR's role in nation building. As someone passionate about nation building, how do you see the role of HR evolving in the context of Nigeria's economic recovery? And I think this question has to be answered because we had a couple of questions from people saying, are we looking at organizations? Are we looking at how they are being also hit by this, by what is going on right now? So that question is to you, Temitope Aloba. Okay, I'm not sure if he can.
Muted. He's
Yes,
muted.
I can hear you now.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sorry. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Susan, and thank you to all the guest speakers so far. I will only reiterate what a lot of panelists have already said in this regard. As someone passionate about nation building, how do I see HRO evolving in the context of Nigeria's economic recovery? Okay, of course, no matter how bad things are, there will always be a recovery, and the earlier we get into that recovery process, the better. So human resource definitely will play a vital role in reshaping the Nigeria's workforce for economic recovery as we navigate through economic uncertainty that we currently experience. So as professionals, HR professionals, we are definitely at the forefront of building these resilient workplaces. And beyond that is to now start putting together strategies, means by which um, we can recover. And that is why we are having this robust, conversation tonight. So first thing first, as HR leaders, we will need to focus on workforce adaptability, fostering a culture of continuous learning, and equipping employees with the skills required for the future uh, of work as it is. And secondly, as HR professionals, we take more responsibilities in promoting employee well-being, mental health, diversity and inclusion, like earlier said by Dr. Silvanos and also mentioned by Dr. Olayinka, all of which are essential for organizational sustainability in recovering economy. And by fostering innovative leadership and maintaining a value-driven culture, we as HR, we must ensure that organizations contribute to national economic growth, by focusing on aligning our workforce strategies with national economic goals. And what are those national economic goals? How can we achieve them? First thing first, I earlier mentioned the need for us to be committed to continuous learning, teaching our people the right skills, of scaling them through continuous learning programs that will help these employee acquire skills in technology, management, leadership, relationship, uh, all of which organizations can be more competitive in the global market and of course, uh, generate more revenues for sustainability. I said this thing in 2020. Nobody saw COVID-19 coming.
Yeah.
And since after COVID-19, it has never gotten better. There is nothing have really changed, right? Because now we've been hearing VUCA word, uh, the word VUCA for some years now. We've also been hearing the word remote work, flexible work arrangement. We've been talking about it as HR professionals until COVID-19 came, and it has been from one thing to another since that time. So as HR professionals, we have to uh, promote job creation and employment stability. And how do we do that? We can't leave it for government alone to do. So we have to influence job creation by encouraging organizations to hire locally, especially in sectors critical to economic growth like technology, agriculture, manufacturing. Yeah, and that's we can partner with education institutions for internship and apprenticeship, which will help us bridge the gap between education and employment, which will in return help addressing the high unemployment rate in Nigeria. And you agree with me, by creating stable jobs, we as HR professionals will be able to ensure that more citizens participate in the formal economy, increasing disposable income and contributing to economic stability. Another thing we can do, because of time, I will just summarize, emphasizing corporate social responsibility, CSR. Through these CSR initiatives, we as HR can ensure that organizations contribute to national priorities such as education, infrastructure, healthcare, sustainable development, and we just must have to give back to the society and to the community that's where we are running our businesses, no matter how tight our budget for the year is. Other things we can do, sustaining employee productivity and well-being, fostering innovation and entrepreneurship. This is very important, and I think Dr. Adedapo already mentioned. We as HR, we can encourage, or we should encourage, a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship within organizations by supporting entrepreneurship, and where employees are given the freedom and resources to develop new products, services, and processes that can lead to creation of new business ventures within existing organizations, driving growth and growth in the industry and contributing to economic expansion. We just have to think, have a way. I mean, it's not easy, really. We said it's not easy running business, but truly, like I always tell people, have been in um, my sessions one way or the other, that to grow organization is not hard if only we people are ready.
Yeah.
And to sustain organization is also not hard, but we must put in the work, because looking at all these organizations that have been in existence for 50 years, but somebody made it happen, made those expansion happen. No one day and become multinational and open, branches in 200 countries, at once. It took commitment, collective commitment of everyone who have been in the system, who have come through that system to make what we are all trying to enjoy today, to make it happen. So rather than looking for, it's good to look for green pasture. It's good to want to work for multinational. But
Yes.
our own local organizations, we must be interested in growing it. We must be interested in growing this, and we must be interested, we as HR, because we are the lifeline of organization. Why? Is because we don't only look after employees, we also look after the health of the organization, which is the finance. So we are the middle. We must find a way to encourage employees to contribute their quota without holding back. We must see beyond where we are. We must be able to give people opportunity, to expand the business, invest in them. So why we are always afraid of training people, like we usually say that what if I train them and they leave? What if you train them and
We
then you
don't.
create, yeah, and then you create opportunities, like you remember, Susan, in one of the classes we had, we were talking about um, pay grade, right? And I said,
Yes.
no matter how small you are starting, you should have pay grade. And in that pay grade, you should have, layers of, pay ranges. That's definitely one day you are going to grow into that space. Yeah, because a lot of things don't happen in Nigeria because we don't conceive it. So we always like to find the easy way out, right?
Yeah.
And nobody, okay, because you want to live, you can't risk your health by trusting your life, yeah, your well-being into the hospitals that are in Nigeria. So you rather take that money, you take it out, because you can't risk it. So we must be interested. We must all be interested in developing this country by uh, making conscious effort within our capacity, within our reach. Uh, I want to believe that this have actually uh, gave a kind of insight into the question you asked. But I can go on and on, but because of time, I think I should just bring it
Yes.
to a close.
Thank you very much, TA. Thank you so much. Any of the participants you want to ask a questions, please just signify. If there's anyone, we just have 3 minutes. We're going to round up in 3 minutes. We've already overshot our time. It was so interesting. There was a lot of information that has to come out here, and people were excited to give out that knowledge. Questions, you want to raise up your hand? We just have 2 more minutes to round up. And in the absence of no questions, I would like to say thank you.
Susan, thank you. I see some professionals in the room, which I would like them to, just say a word, one what we have been discussing so
Okay,
far.
please.
So, in no particular order, I'm saying SDV. SDV, please, can you unmute your mic?
As do we
Yeah,
have 1 minute?
just 1 minute. Then following SDV is Vida Eshetabu. I would like to hear from you, and then Stella. And as much as time can permit, let's just make it interactive in the next 5 minutes. Okay, SDV, over to you.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and happy independence. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, we can hear
All
you.
right. I want to say well done to the HR4TA network, and a great job has been done by all the speakers. I greet my sister, especially all my sisters, Esther, Vida, Omotola. I hear she's not a doctor. Congrats, sis. I greet all other doctors in the house.
SGB, hi.
All right, great. Congratulations. So let me
Thank
just
you.
add my voice just to say two things. And I would say that integrity as a value is very important. So whatever we are doing as in the corporate world, in organizations, integrity is key. With integrity, we can help our organizations achieve their purpose of existing. So that's the vision, the mission. Because with that, whether they are producing products or rendering services, they can contribute to nation building. So integrity is key, and leadership character is also very key. We have seen MDs who run down businesses. We have seen functional heads who run down businesses because of bad character, because of lack of integrity. So whatever we do, integrity is, they say, is the soul of business, right?
Yeah.
And then character for leaders is very important. Who are you as a leader? Most people get into positions and then let the job title, the razzmatazz, all the juicy things that comes with the office, they let it get into them, and then they misuse power. And when they misuse power, they corrupt the culture of the organization. And when culture is corrupted, they lose talents. So let's have this in our minds as HR people, as business leaders. Character for leaders is key. Integrity is key. With those two things, I want to round up. Once again, well done to everyone and happy independence to all of us. Thanks. See you.
Thank you,
Well done.
STV. That was a well put together comment in less than 2 minutes. Thank you. Vida, can we hear from you? Are you there? Okay. Stella? And if you have any comments, any contribution, please, you can just signify by raising your hand. And before we go back to our guest speakers for their
Okay,
parting
Vida
words.
is asking that we unmute her.
Okay, Vida, let me. Okay, so you can go.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. All right. So happy independence to everybody. And thank you very much to the team for giving me this opportunity to share just a few thoughts. I'm a business leader. I'm not a HR professional, but I always like to say that we are the yin to each other's yangs. Now, with regards to this conversation, I heard one of the speakers talk about, letting go of people in a humane manner, in a humane manner, so that nobody leaves a job, out of from a position of feeling restructured out or forsaken and all. And that's usually a very, very extremely sensitive matter, because sometimes I wonder if there is any magic whatsoever to, handling that. The best any employer can do is really the best they can do. At the end of the day, the onus is on the people who are being let go, to actually receive and accept and realize that it is a business decision and not really anything that is cast against who they really are as people. Because you can be empathetic, you can provide all the support, but as human beings, nobody likes being shown the door. We can dress it up. Yes, in certain places, the exit package is so attractive and all that, but when the chips are down, we want to have that option of we walked away ourselves and not that we're caught up in a situation of collateral damage. That's the way I would put it. But that being said, like Mr. Loba said, nothing has quite changed since COVID. We have not slowed down. Whatever was shouting is shouting louder, or wearing different clothes and shouting gently, and all that. And so at this point, really, one word that comes strongly to play for both the owners of the business owners, leaders, and the employees is that ownership is the new magic word. For whichever role you play it as if you owned the business. You know, the sense of entitlement that we had before COVID, quote and unquote, and we refer to that because that was when a major change happened. Usually evolution happens gradually, but COVID was like a revolutionary situation. So we talk about the Industrial Revolution. You know, I don't want me to start my video, and I'm not in the most decent. I'm not camera friendly. I like to do shakara, so please bear with me.
It's okay.
Thank you. You know, talk about Industrial Revolution. We talk about how will I put it? The financial revolution, from barter to, you know, representations of currency and all. And so COVID represents one of those evolutions. Before COVID, employers had a sense of entitlement. One person was always feeling the other was doing a favor and the like. But at this point in time, everybody must come into work, come into business, come into transactions with a sense of ownership, saying, if this was my own business, if this was all that represented me, how would I handle it? And that brings a different sense of element to transactions. So I'll stop there at this point in time, but thank you very much and allowing me share.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you. I think Stella's hand is up. Stella, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Okay, so thank you. Good evening, everyone, to the organizer and my good friend, Dr. Murtala Ambot. Thank you, Pastor Richard, who turned to be a pastor on this forum. Thank you so much. So just a lot have been said around this, but the only little thing I will chip in is anytime I find myself speaking, I always speak about an acronym called IWA, that is IWA, your integrity at the working place, your worth, what is your worth? If you have value, what is it? And your attitude to everything, whether as employee or as an employer. So those three things is very, very key to the continuity and sustainability. So those are just a few things I have to chip in because a lot have been said. And I'm grateful for being a part of this platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Someone raising up hand quickly.
Okay, Rotary Club of Ogbebi.
Please unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic and go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, everyone, and happy Independence Day to all the panelists and every single person who is on this webinar. My name is Dayo-Adedapo. I'm a business owner, an engineer, and a consultant. And I can resonate deeply with a lot of the information that has been passed across by the panelists today. I appreciate them for the practical implication of the things that have been said. But for what is what, I think I just want to make a few comments that could help to personalize some of the information that has been passed across today. I think in terms of conceptualizing workplaces and employer-employer interaction in the 21st century, especially when we have a turbulent financial situation as we have in Nigeria, I think we need to go back to the basics. When I mean the basics, I mean things like perception, understanding that human beings are triune beings, that we are spiritual creatures, we have an intellect, and we live in a body. And whatever changes we want to implement, if we want it to become habitual, we have to understand the nature of man and how every individual functions, both in their microspace as individuals and how they interact with others, maybe in terms of relationships or business or friendship. So, and then the second perception is the perception of life itself. Life is always opportunity mixed with difficulty. And most of the multinationals that have come to define the landscape for business or for any form of transactional activity, most of them were founded and established during times of turbulence or during bust times. So making people understand that individuals and organizations that go forward and progress are those ones that focus on the opportunities in the midst of the difficulties, and the ones that go backwards are the ones that focus on the difficulties in the midst of opportunities, is a very important paradigm change for organizations and individuals. Organizations in the sense that instead of complaining about the problems, they see it as solving problems will increase my relevance, strengthen my ability to function as a business, and increase the possibility of me making more profit and being able to employ more people because I'm providing greater service. And when we have a young populace and the populace are encouraged,
thank you, my
you're
good
welcome,
friend,
sir.
Adeola. Thank you so much. I really wish we can
It's a
take
pleasure.
more. We have to let our guest speakers go. So at this time, I think is a parting word for our guest speakers before they leave. So Dr. Dayo-Adedapo, over to you for your parting words, please.
I'm sorry, TA. I didn't hear you clearly.
Okay, your parting words.
Thank you. I mean, I don't have much to say than to say thank you for having brought this together. I was going to second when one of our speakers said we should have this again, but I just in the event that we're not able to, it's been a very amazing and insightful session. As a nation, we have a lot of work to do. Our leaders, they are carrying us to where we don't know. So everybody has to look out for himself, and that's just the truth. The Nigeria of today, sometimes I really wonder, how is the common man feeding? How are they fending for their family? It's a very big conversation that if we start to enter, we can't get done in a hurry. But what is our role as organizational leaders, as business leaders, as HR professionals? It is that we can't get tired of talking about empathy, showing empathy in our little way, whatever we can to make life bearable for our people. Like I said earlier, just let your culture, just work on culture. If the financials are not something you can really get a hang of because it's tough doing business, the least you can do is make the environment, build a positive environment for people to thrive, so that on top of everything they are going through with the nation, they don't get to deal with toxic bosses, they don't get to deal with bad environment, and then they don't just lose their sanity in the course of getting work done. So let's do everything we can. It's not just HR. I was at an event yesterday and I was saying, we just believe that HR people are going to do magic. If the organizational leader and functional leaders within the organization on HR alone cannot drive all of this. So for a lot of people here who might not be in HR or who have the opportunity to talk to leaders, it's a collective responsibility from everyone who's working and leading the organization when it comes to people experience and building positive workplaces. Thank you for having me once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Despite your very tight schedule and you are still here with us, I truly appreciate you. So over to you, Queen Esther.
Thank you, TA. It's been a very interesting discourse. And my parting words would actually be that you cannot take accountability for someone else's behavior, okay? But surely you can help them to understand the impact of the actions and the consequences of the things they do. And for HR, it is our duty to equip. It is our duty to help the top management navigate some of their strengths and weaknesses, both business goals and the employees' goals, as well as the goals of the general economy. So just accept, feel it, and believe that it's where there seems to be no way. Thank you, and happy independence once again to everyone.
Thank you, Esther. One amazing thing is that you are looking younger. I think
yes, so we've got to look younger. It's a business too, to look young.
Yes, that will help.
Yeah, so Dr. Silvanos, apologies, please. Over to you for your parting words. Your mic is now muted. Okay, so you can unmute now. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this. What I would just want to say at my parting was is that HR practitioners in all organizations should actually help management to prioritize on physical, mental, emotional, and financial health of their employees, because of course when you do that, you get the employees attention that indeed that you really and truly care about their well-being, and that of course goes a long way in improving their productivity. Just to mention that we should pay attention, reaching out to employees to find out how they are really doing, especially during this time. Quite a number are struggling, and they need that support from management to know that they are cared about. We need to create a safe space for them during this time, for them to be sure that their job is safe. We need to also pay attention to mental health, because the mental health of employees are really truly being challenged at this time. We have to create a space for them to relax, find a way to get them professional help as many that need it. And the employee assistance program goes a long way in doing that. And of course, we need to also encourage people to speak out, at times when they are really, when they speak out, you're able to know how they are feeling. And of course, you're able to adequately respond to their well-being. The truth is that we all, from the high to the low at this time, facing this challenge, and our overall well-being is actually being impacted. Organizations must help their employees to go through these times. Thank you.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you so much, Dr. Silvanos. If not for time, I will have really tried to understand how your department, you said you created a wellness and health and wellness department. Maybe in another conversation, we'll definitely have to bring you back as probably a single speaker where we can, glean, from your wealth of knowledge. But don't worry, you are in safe hands. We won't take everything. Thank you so much. Dr. Silvanos actually came highly, highly recommended by one of our great leaders, Mrs. Funke, Dr. Funke Amobi. And thank you so much for all that you have impacted us with today. So, Dr. Precious,
Was that me or there's another doctor? Because
it's you.
no,
So I was
but
just
I
talking
think
about
this has
it.
been such
That
a good use of our time.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I think this has been such a good use of our time. I like everything that I've heard. And I mean, everyone staying till this time just shows it has been really good material. I think the only thing to just say in terms of final words would be, let's make our corner shine. The country is tough, but the country is made tough by people. And I'm one of these people who I don't believe in pointing fingers. Everybody in this room, we have our own spheres of influence. So if we go tomorrow when we resume in the office and we make those corners shine and we do all of them, by the time we aggregate all of our efforts, it becomes the kind of country that we want to see. I find that Nigerians are very removed. One of the reasons why we have the country that we have is we're very removed from our situation. And we think that is another person's problem to fix Nigeria. We're pointing at the other person. Our governments are one of us. I used to be in the private sector. I was headhunted to work for government, right? I might leave government, go back to the private sector. My point is, it's very fluid. There's no difference between the people in government, and then the people in the private. It's the same Nigerians. So please, let's make our corners shine. And let's do, what you don't want done to you, don't do it to somebody else. It's just that simple. And what you also do when no one is watching. Because I find that, sometimes we spend so much effort putting up a reputation for our LinkedIn profiles and all of that. And then when people meet you, as someone who have done a lot of consulting work around people and culture, you will be shocked some of the things that I get when I'm looking at the data, especially when it's done anonymously on people that should know better. And I always wonder, isn't it a scary thing that we know what to do in theory, but we don't practice it? It's a scary thing. So please, let's practice, let's make our corners shine, and let's make, life a little bit more livable for ourselves and for other people. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. I would have loved that you say a thing about your book, maybe just for 1 minute. I mean, just tell us briefly about it. Then how can we get? Somebody just chatted me not too long ago, to ask
Thank you.
if I have a copy.
I'm a terrible salesperson, obviously, right?
Hmm.
But I'm very lucky. I've sold 1,000 books in a week, so I must have done something right. Even with my terrible sales skills. No, I wrote a book called The Hero Inside. I've been doing learning and development for over 15 years, and I found that there's a mindset that you can codify for excellence. Again, I've worked in the private sector. I created the government soft skills training curriculum that's been used by over 2 million Nigerians. And to be able to go on to pioneer a training academy for government, I find that there is a consistent mindset that has helped me. So I thought, why not put some of these life skills in the book? Things like leveraging adversity to scale, because I find that a lot of us are very scared of the concept that life is difficult. When I wrote my book, I didn't even know that the country will become as tough as it has become. And I find that a lot of people are reaching out to me. It's a self-help book, and I'm a reader. I like to read. But I found that many of the self-help books that were situated in the global north, in the Americas, etc., they don't take into cognizance some of our nuances. How do you live on less than $1,000? How do you live on within 70,000 minimum wage? People can't even pay 70,000. How do you survive as a Nigerian? How do you survive when you have to be your government, everything, etc.? And how do you still rise? Because, empathy is a luxury in a country that is as complex as ours. People are
Yeah.
going through it. And for some people, how will I have empathy when I've been dealt the wrong end of the stick? So for us, and for me, and in that book, is to create some sort of template. And I like all the conversations that are coming out of the Hero Inside, where people now have to look inwards for the hero that they're looking for, as opposed to something outside of them. So do read the book. It's available on Amazon and Robin Heights, and feel free to engage with me. Disagree with me if you like, but I really hope that we collectively create a future that's okay for us, for our children, and of course for everyone. So thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Olayinka Jibono. Can we have your parting word? Your parting words.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. It's been very insightful. I think this is one of the very few sessions I've had with lots of HR people on board, and it's been very, very insightful. I just want to say that in this difficult times, it's important for each one of us to remember that for our sanity and our peace of mind, we should learn to accept the things that we cannot change, and we should try to have the courage to change the things that we can. And we hope that we'll be able to develop the wisdom to know the difference. This simple prayer, really, really helps us as individuals to maintain our peace of mind and our sanity. And I believe that during these very difficult times, this is something that we need to remember. So once again, I thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you,
And
Dr.
meet you
Jibono.
again sometime
She
soon.
also came very highly recommended by one of our leaders in the industry, and we do not regret having you on board today. Thank you so much for your time. May prosperity judge you right and reward you for all that you are doing. In Nigeria, I went through your profile on LinkedIn, and I see you have been doing quite a lot of work, helping Nigerians and families and everyone within your space of influence, and keep expanding. So I wish you more success and more open doors as you impact lives. To
Thank
you,
you. Thank you.
Mr. Ayo Olayinka. So we have two Olayinka in this room today. Your parting words, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And then,
I
as a
think,
Rotarian, I would like to address him as Rotarian. He's a past president, so my PP, my past president, Ayo Olayinka. Thank you once again for being here.
okay, thank you. I love it. But I think I've been the beneficiary in this room. When you find yourself in the middle of HR people, you have a lot to listen to. So I can go back to work tomorrow and look at my people a bit differently and more confidently. But I think my parting words will be that even though we're HR people, I would like to remind us that we're in an economy that's in transition. An economy is one of the biggest challenges of turbulence in organizations. Our economy is in transition. It's not going to be this economy next year or 3 years, 4 years down the line. So as professionals, we should please take our time to study the elements that make this economy to transition, how they affect labor, how they affect the employee, how they affect housing, how they affect remunerations, how they affect health, so that we are planning for those things and not reacting when the economic indices changes, because they will keep changing. It's over now and the next few years, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. But hopefully, as the economy begins to stabilize in the future, we will look back and be grateful that we attended sessions like this. It prepared us for the right decision making, and we took the right decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rotary and Olayinka. One of the reasons why I insist that you should be on this panel, my very first interaction with you, first time we spoke, just says a lot about your person. And honestly, I see you as a role model to all other MDCUs that we have. And definitely, we will still have to, engage you in another conversation as time goes on. Because the truth of the matter is that for us as HR professionals, really, the real HR within the one that I know, the one that I interact with within the space, our ecosystem, I see a lot of HR professionals who are very, very industrious, very, very knowledgeable, very, very selfless. Like you say, HR is a thankless job, just like teacher. And in some cases, we are more ambitious than even the owner of the business. So a lot of times you see us probably having loggerhead with the MD CEOs over certain decisions that needs to be made concerning people, concerning processes, concerning customers. So there is one department that cater for every aspect, cut across every aspect of the business is HR. So that conversation with you just says a lot about you. And I was like, okay, I would like other MDCEOs to hear from you. We have a lot of MDCEOs who have been so well like you, and we just wanted to continue to help us, listen to us, and give us the opportunity to transform the organizations. Because the only way, one of the easiest way through which we can make notable and lasting impact in our country as HR professionals who care about the people, who care about the state of the nation, is being given the opportunity to not only hear our view without any fear of losses or misjudgment, is to be given opportunity to speak to our leaders and collaborate with our leaders to make change happens within our system. And trust me, that's the only way. Without private sector being interested in changing the narrative of our country, nothing is going to change. So thank you so much on that note. Okay, I don't know if there's anyone we've not had for parting word. I think Dr. Richard Eddy, please can we have you?
Dr. Eddy?
Yes, Dr. Eddy, and yeah, I think Dr. Eddy is the only one remaining. Dr. Eddy, please, if you are still in the room, I believe you are.
Yes, thank you, everyone. More importantly, to our listeners and all those who joined the call. And so everyone, it is It's a tough time for us as a country, as individuals. From the employer point of view, it's also tough for us. We know that our employees are raising up their head since the last fuel increment to see what we can do. But it's also tough to us because spreading the burden, it means that your clients too will feel it, everybody will feel the impact. So it's a rotation for us. It goes round and round the circle. By one way or the other, we all bear this burden. And so it's just for us to remain resilient as a people and try to increase our financial knowledge and try the best we can to manage the little resources that we have. Thank you, everyone. It has been very impactful tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Richard, for your time. Thank you for all that you do for humanity. We pray that God continue to bless you and strengthen you for that to do more. So, Susan, how do we go from
TA,
here?
TA, thank you. I think this was amazing. To all the panelists, thank you too. And like Tia said, we should actually have opportunities where we have single people, come and talk. So there's enough time to, pass on the knowledge that we've gotten tonight here. I think Tia, you're doing a great job with HR with TA. We're proud of you and proud to be part of this community. So it's not a surprise that you had the caliber of people that we had on this webinar today. So we're hoping that we can have around two. Really, I would recommend that because a lot of knowledge is still somewhere that needs to be put out there to a lot of younger people who are coming up, and a lot of CEOs also need to hear some of the things that were talked about tonight from what Dr. Eddie has said to what Rotary and Ayo has said as well. A lot has been said here that CEOs too also need to hear. And I know that at some point we will also have a platform where CEOs will come and have that conversation because the HR is not just the backbone of any organization. No organization can survive without HR. No organization can survive without HR. So thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. It was amazing. Happy Independence and see you again very soon. Thank you.